Hi everyone, welcome to yet another talk by Design Hack. Today we are going to talk about a really interesting field because we are going to move beyond what we think UI UX design is. Today we are going to explore interaction designers in the field of automotive sector. And for the same, we have with us Ujjayan Dhar. Ujjayan Dhar is a full-time freelancer, philanthropist, and also worked with Dassault Systems for the role of software development engineer. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here with us today and for helping us with such a difficult topic. And also, I would say a topic where we, as UI UX designers, face difficulties. It's great having you here. How are you doing
Yeah,
today?
hi Siddhi. It's a pleasure of mine to be a part of the Design Heart community, and it's a great platform, I believe, where designers and other technical guys they come here and share the knowledge and inspire other people to do the same. So yeah, it's a great
Thank
thing,
you.
and the introduction is perfect that you have shared, and yeah, thanks a lot for the session. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then hello guys. I'm Ujjayan Dhar. So currently I'm working as a full-time freelancing, and also working on web designing and also like on app designing on an NGO based in Assam. So a little bit of a philanthropy on the other side, and anything that solves human problems and connects me to the more of a core humanity nature, that these are the kind of things that I prefer to do. So anyways, all those things aside, so welcome guys, and today I'll be talking to you about like how interaction designers are making an impact in the automotive sector, because I believe this is one of the topic that hardly anyone touches. It's not because hardly anyone touches and I've chosen this topic. I've chosen this topic because somewhere designers are in this world, they do solve problems and they are making an impact, but they are kind of forgetting that how interaction design or any kind of design can these can't be constricted to a similar amount of domain. They need to be made ubiquitous and they need to be made uh, open to all, because design is kind of like the base of everything. So I'll go ahead and I'll start. So as it says, so this is the first thing that I wanted to highlight. Okay, so on the left hand side, if you see, there's an automobile in its finest polished version, and also I've added few sketch lines on above of the automobile, which shows that before going into the final polished version, you need to start everything from a pen and paper, because everything in this world, it starts from pen and paper. The concept starts from pen and paper. On the left side of your slide is a model named Citroen DS, and it was designed by Flavio Bertoni. And Bertoni was a pioneer not only in the product design but also in the design process. So, what do you mean by design process? Like, it's not like we go out there and we sketch something on a pen and paper, and then we design a 3D model and then we publish it. It's not obviously, it's not also like that. So, whenever we start to design something, we have to go into the analysis process, the research process, also the competitiveness of the process we have to, of the product that we have to take care. And also, like, if I create this product, do I keep the design system, the legacy design system of the Citroen or anything? Like, if tomorrow Mercedes designs an automobile, so they won't design something which is out of their design system. They have a design legacy, they have a design way of doing things, they have a process oriented thing, that whenever you look at a Mercedes, they are all unique and they are all unanimous to each other. Like, you can't say, okay, this Mercedes car design looks a little bit like Audi. No, you won't ever say that, because there is a significant uniqueness to the front grille, the headlamps, the body design, the strokes that were taken very precisely while it was done even on pen and paper. So, like, yeah. So, what happens in the case of Citroen? The reason Citroen DS became so famous, because it was first, when it was first launched, it did create a chaos, and the reason because the interiors of the vehicles were very human oriented. And I say human oriented because it was very easily accessible to humans. On the other hand, like older vehicles which had to be manually done, like manually done in the sense like the windshield of the car, which it would have been done manually and everything. So in this case, many of the parts were done electronically, and there were little bit of advancements that came into the picture for this automobiles. That is the reason this is one of the pinnacle in the automobile history. So if you look at newer era cars, so newer era cars have a very high level of rules and regulations. Recently, I guess Tata Punch created a chaos in the market after passing out of a 5 out of 5 star rating in the safety regulations. So these are the things that need to be taken place care of. As I had read a book in recent terms, and a lot of many times, by Don Norman, The Design of Everyday Things, where Don Norman predicted, or I guess he saved a nuclear catastrophe to be taken place at a nuclear power plant because some of the design signifiers on the switches, it was different. So basically, there were some switches which had a different logo or some different symbols that could have created an impact on a very high level of scale. So he changed that and he managed to maintain the nuclear meltdown. So these are the few amount of things then. So like when you talk about Tata Punch or like Tata Nexon or Tata Harrier, so all these things, if you look into on a very higher level of and also on a very micro level. So at a micro level, even the dashboard designing, even the steering wheel designing, created or designed at a very, I mean, like a very minor level. I mean, like if a driver is driving a car at a very high speed at a in the freeway and there is a rain going on, so everything has to be taken care of. Not only it's the chassis system that has to be taken care of, but also like the interior of the vehicles. So new changes, they require new specializations, and thus the design department grew. So what happened at the very start, if you look at, so there is a so these are kind of discussions that I always have with my fellow professional guys at my previous organizations and everything. So in the past, what happened whenever there was a design of an automobile, so they used to take out like the drafting sheet, and there were long huge amount of spreadsheets and everything, long sheets where design used to take place, and then it was replaced by 3D models like SolidWorks and CATIA and everything. And even like today rendering devices like Unity or Delta Gen and Blender and everything, they have come into the place. But what used to happen in the previous times, like design department was very orthodox. Like what I mean by orthodox is no criticism, I mean, but they were very much restricted to few things. Like the exterior, I mean, the person who used to do the exterior would also do the interior, and the person who used to do the seat design, he has to be a specific person who only will do the seat design or something like that. He can't break the barriers. So that is where interaction designers in the previous few years found it very difficult to enter into the automotive industry, because there wasn't any introduction of new technologies or new hyper screens that have been come into the market. So whenever we used to go and we used to tell like I want to design the interior of the vehicle, or mostly like the dashboard part of the vehicle, they will be like, oh no, like why do we need interaction designers? I mean, we already have interior designers to do the things. But yeah, so these are the new things, and due to new regulations, due to safety regulations that have been come into the market, I'll tell you in the further case studies that these things have been changing, and the design department is growing day by day. So I'll tell you, I'll ask you guys one thing, like what is interaction design? I mean, I guess it's a live session, so I can't ask a regular question to all of you guys where everyone can participate. But okay, so I'll tell this thing, like what is interaction design when you go to Wikipedia, and the Wikipedia gives you a very basic amount of information. The amount of information is very precise. I won't say it's very basic. It's very precise, and it touches all of the different domains that interaction design actually steps its feet into. So it says interaction design, often abbreviated as IXD, as a practice of design interaction. It's a practice of designing interactive digital products, environments, systems, and services. So if it's kind of like a complex thing, and lots of jargons and lot of technical and design jargons that have been taken place into this picture. If you look at the left hand side, so user experience design, I mean the final user, the experience that the user gives, okay, the feedback that we learn from the user experiences, we have to take the feedback, we have to analyze it, we have to design it, and all these things come into a major chunk. And if you look at interaction design, it covers 2 to 3 Venn diagrams, like visual design, human factors, industrial design, sound design, human computer interaction, information architecture. So from here I want to ask a very basic question, like, I mean, I know times are changing in India, especially the times are changing. Like, and I'm very proud to be living in this era, because the thing is, but I've seen in the past few years, whenever we talk about UI UX, every time it's like a website redesign, it's like an app redesign. You have to find the flaw of some app, and then you have to do the competitive analysis and all those research phases, empathy mapping and information architecture, low fidelity wireframes, all those processes come into the picture. But those are always designed for a kiosk or an app or a website, everything. But the basic thing is like, why don't we create an interaction design for a smart vehicle or a smart refrigeration system or a smart unlocking device? I mean, like, how will a smart door in the future look like? I mean, Don Norman has already said that there are Norman doors which create a lot of confusion of push and pull. But in the future, where doors can be opened with a biometric thumb or a biometric card, which is already done, which is already going in many corporate offices. But if you just need an interaction, like things that show in Iron Man, okay, you just pull the punch card, and then some holographic image comes into the door saying, "Welcome Ujjayan," or "Welcome Abhay," or "Welcome Siddhi," or something like that. The person who is carrying the card. So these are the things that we have to think it that way in a very innovative nature. So the moment a door welcomes you, welcome Ujjayan, so you feel connected to the door itself. That's how connection works. That's how human interacts with a product. That is what I believe is human computer interaction. That is what I believe is UI. So a door became a UI for you. So that's how I believe. Even in my last year of engineering, I did a project with of my fellow guys. It was based on Pranav Mistri's sixth sense technology, and basically Pranav Mistri's sixth sense technology says, like, design screens shouldn't be constricted only to laptops and mobile phones. Why can't design screens be made available anywhere? Okay, you're traveling on the train. Why can't the, I mean, the surface of the train, the surface of a seat, or you're at a garden, the surface, or you're at a library, the surface of the table become your screen. You just project the things and you just press on the buttons. So these are very futuristic, these are very Iron Man like. But believe me, if you can think about it, if you can dream about it, these things are possible. And I'm very happy to say, like, AR VR is taking over the market, and slowly, slowly, even they're impacting the industrial design in the future senses. So moving on ahead, I'll tell you what I believe interaction design is, because after going through all those jargons and all those Venn diagrams and everything, I've simplified them into a very similar one. And also, I've taken this image from a reference of a very dear mentor of mine named Casper, and he has also agreed on the same thing. So I'm moving on ahead. So this is what I believe interaction design is simplified. So if you look at the time, okay, the time graph and the capabilities graph. So humans on a capability level, and according to the capability versus time level, they are increasing, their capabilities are increasing with respect to time, but not as how computers are evolving. I'll tell you one very simple example. So there were, I mean, in the early 2000s, so there were music shops where we used to go out there and used to buy CDs or big discs for the gramophone, and even big records for the gramophone, and also like cassettes and everything. So there were shops like M Planet and Music World and all those things. So we used to go there, we used to browse. So the browsing gesture was this one, left to right or right to left. So this concept of gesture of left to right and right to left, this was captured beautifully by Spotify and Ghana. If you look into them, so the moment you want to change the album, it shows in a scrolling manner. So it gives you a feel what the 2000s ka real actual feel was. So basically, what happened, according to the graph, if you see, computers, I mean, interactions were inspired from humans. I mean, computers basically learned how humans interacted with real life products, and then they tried to implement it in their own system, and humans interacted with computers. That is what happened. But what's happening nowadays is like computers are getting a little bit ahead of us. Why? Due to advancement in technology, advancement in backend systems like machine learning, AI, face recognition, and everything. But humans are finding it sometimes difficult to what to say, to interact with such kind of systems. I mean, if I give you a screen, and if I just give you a mirror, for example, it's a very smart mirror, and I tell you just hold this mirror and go anywhere. But that mirror, if you face the mirror, it will just capture your face and it will say, "Hello, how are you, good morning." So you don't know that what that mirror is because you didn't get a manual, or didn't get any training for that. So you need to tell the person, the product should itself tell the person, okay, I'm a smart mirror, you just face me, and then I'll welcome you. So I mean, this is kind of like a very advanced thing. I guess Corning Gorilla Glass has a same kind of concept in the YouTube. I've seen it I mean, like few years back or something like that. So that is what I believe. Like the reason interaction design is so important, because humans need to bridge the gap or between the computers and humans. I mean, like the interaction design basically bridges the gap between humans and computers. This is like a very simplified version of what I believe interaction design is. Okay, so I'll take you a little bit down the memory lane. So what we say like today's hyper screen is like Tesla has a very big hyper screen, and you can watch movies and Netflix, and also connect to the latest technologies like the navigation thing. Also in the navigation thing, what is the speed of the front of the car? What is the speed in the back of the car? How much speed should you do? All this smart automation system that are provided by Tesla, all those things, they are nothing new. Okay, so these were things that were provided in the prototype vehicles, okay, in 1986 Buick Riviera. So if you look at this thing, these are like CRT level of digital digital screens, the black and white TVs, what we say. So these are not very uh, what to say, at that era, or in the 90s or in the 80s, these were like kind of like a very hype thing, because people used to get only such kind of interactions because people were trained to do so. So if you're sitting in a car with this kind of interaction, and then you travel around, and then you go home, you go and watch your TV, the TV has a similar amount of screen. It's not like in the 1980s people have had Android, and then the TV was very much advanced, but the hyper screen in the dashboard of an automobile, it was very 1980s. It wasn't like that, so there was an uniformity. But eventually, as technology passed on, this thing changed, and you can look into the image that is on the below side. It says the Tesla Model X has a big hyper screen, rather. So for the passenger sitting on the right hand side, and also for the driver, since it's a driverless vehicle, and it's mostly related to a screen that is presented on the dashboard. So basically, it's like a robot. I mean, like the screen will be a interaction that will be made to communicate with you, with the passenger, and also on the driver. The driver can sit lazily on the back, watch a movie while the car is going around in an automated mode, provided. I mean, like there are few constraints, there are few constant as well, but you can see the stark changes that has been made till 19 from 1986 to the recent 2020s and 2000 early 2020s. Moving on. So yeah, so I'll tell you one case study that I had done. So this is a case study on the interior of Buick Avista. So what happened in the case of Buick Avista? I mean, like it's still, I guess it's still in the prototype phase, and the project didn't go ahead, but they were very much ahead of time. I'll tell you. So what happened? Like initially, they didn't look at the comfort. Okay, so when you're designing a automobile in pen and paper mode, and then you convert into a clay model, and then you have to do the way UI UX designers do paper mockup, right? So in the automobile domain, there is also paper mockup thing. So the image that you're seeing on the left, the screen that is in front of you, it's basically a paper cutout. It's basically a paper cutout that you look into it, and then you are like, okay, if the speed increases, then I can see the red color ka growth I mean, like the progress bar that is going, like the speed is increasing, it's getting a bit risky, and there's a city ahead, and skyscrapers are shown around, and also like the fuel level and also the battery level and everything. So initially, what happened? The controls were placed all over the interior of the vehicle. So at that point, people used to get very much confused. So this is how Boyka Vista's concept was taken into consideration. So initially, they didn't go for a very high level of interior designing. Initially, they went into a very low level of interior designing, like what happened in the 1980s. 1990s. So if you want to change the alignment of the seat, you get a little bit confused which button to press, which button will help me in relaxing down, which button will help me in relaxing in coming in front of the dashboard, and also like the windshield, which button presses can go up and down and everything. So these were compromised in the, because okay, like Buick gave a different sense to the passengers. Let us consider Mercedes gave a different sense to the passengers. Ford gave a different sense to the passengers, because it's basically like in Ford, this button does this thing, but in Buick, this button does some another kind of feature. So there wasn't any uniformity. Okay, so what happened in the US, especially in United States, people go for a mostly like a long road trip or something. So as they started going for a long road trip, they used to start understand the need of an interaction design. The reason, because the driver had to drive for a long amount of time on the dark roads, and you have to take a break, and he didn't knew when to take a break, or how much risk is there on the front of the road, how much fuel is required, or if it's raining, uh, when to turn the wiper on. All those things, all those advanced sensors were not there. So that's where this whole case study was done by Boeing, and then they came up with a specialized domain. So I guess I can't confidently say, because that might raise questions that which organization started the first interaction design team or something like that. But they used to always terminalize this thing as specialized interior designers, never interaction designers. I mean, like some interior designers who are specialized to work on the digital dashboard thing. So they came into existence. Okay, and then things came into existence also, like the materials that can be used, the ergonomics. I mean, like if you look at few of the dashboard, they have this wood panel and rosewood panels and everything. So these are the cosmetics, what we say, the cosmetic things. I guess in Pune there is an organization named as Foresia, which does these kind of thing, the upholstery of the seat and everything, they come into the place. So these are the things which also matter in the human factors. Moving on. Okay, so this is just an image I'll show you. So if you look at the evolution of the dashboard, so in 19 from 1974 till 2016. So in 1974 there were few or very less knobs. So if you look at the steering wheel, there is basically like a two analog system showing you the speedometers and everything. I doubt that there is any AC system. I guess there is an AC system, but it seems very complex. I can't figure it out. Where is the AC knob or something? But in 1983, they introduced something which is known as the CD player, and I mean the cassettes came into the existence. On if you compare to the 1974 and 1983, there is a new block that you can see. In 1991, you can see three knobs. I guess I can't zoom the image. I could have shown you a bit better. So there are three knobs which again show, if you look into India, if you travel in India via Uber or like Ola, you will see a lot of this old Indica K vehicles, Tata Indica. So they have these three knobs where you want to provide the air conditioning to the feet or to your face, or like or a surround system level of what AC or something like that. The heater goes on and off. Everything is there. So these are all in the knob system. On the right hand side, again, you can see in the Volkswagen 1997, there are three knobs and also an advanced CD player. So that's how the four images represent. So these are like, so 1974 to 1997, the two factors that changed everything was the CD players, the cassettes, and the air conditioning. Okay, jumping down to 2003, you can see that there is a vast change where the infotainment, the screen, system ka screen came into play. I mean, like that might not do a much amount of thing, but okay, there might be a CD player also working. That might not be a smart system, But moving on to 2008 and 2013 and 2016, in the 2016 there is directly a navi bar which shows a map which where from where you can go from one place to another. I guess it's also like a voice recognition system, and also like if you say lower the temperature or raise the temperature, it might recognize your voice and everything. So this is how the evolution of the dashboard took place eventually. Moving on. Yeah. So I have classified the interactions into like three terms. Okay. So if you look at this image properly, so I have said primary, tertiary, and secondary. But on the beyond these block boxes, you will see a light blueprint or a structure of the dashboard itself. So in the primary level, you will see like the two circles and everything, two spheres behind. So they're basically like the speedometers and everything. So what happens, I'll tell you. So when a driver is driving the car or even a passenger is there, so primary functions are the one that are always designed in an automobile industry related to driving and safety. So where a driver can monitor the speed, if he wants to turn left or right, he will give a symbol or a signifier of the left button or a right button, and that will blink. The indicators will blink in front of you, and also on the lights will blink, indicating the rest of the vehicles behind you. Okay, this guy is turning left and this guy is turning right. And also handling the wipers if there is a hailstorm or like a snowstorm or also rains in the tropical regions like India. So these are like the one of the primary functions that these things needs to be constant in the case of interaction. So let me tell you what happens. Let us consider you're traveling from office at a very late night, 2 to 3 a.m in the morning, and you're rushing to home and you're hungry and it's raining and it's storming like crazy. So at that moment, you won't look into the tertiary and the secondary system. So the primary section is the one which matters to you the most. That is the thing. That is one of the most important reasons why the primary has to be taken care with utmost care. And that is how I will tell you, like Porsche or Lamborghini or Bugatti or all these luxury vehicles, and even Mercedes EQS, they are taking this thing to a next level, like speed monitoring system. So if you're traveling at a very economic speed, so the speedometer will show you a light blue tone, which shows okay, this guy is driving in a safe tone, okay, in a safe mode. If you're crossing the 100 limit, the speedometer turns red. So it's a signifier. Okay, I need to slow down. It's already late and it's raining outside. I need to slow down. Okay, so this is how everything works out. So these are kind of interaction. These are signifiers, as Don Norman says. So I mean, like a human gets notified. Mm, and I mean, this ain't even a notification. Okay, the speed limit is going up. No one is notifying you anything. It's just a play of colors. The moment the speedometer goes to a red color tone, you're like, okay, I need to stop. So these are the things. Secondary, secondary ones are mostly like they take a little bit of time to fulfill. It's not exactly used by it is used by the driver also, but it's also used by the passenger itself. Okay, so like let us consider you're sitting on the passenger seat, a music is being played, you feel the music and you feel like okay, it's becoming repetitive. Then you go there and then you change this type of action. It requires a little bit more amount of time. It's not done immediately. Okay. Also the cabin temperature. If you look at it, the air conditioning that it works. So initially the air conditioning is at a full blast. So you feel chills after few amount of time. So it takes the process. It takes a human recognition. It takes a human cognitive output that requires the brain functions. You feel cold and then you turn on the heater. So these are the things. That is the reason the secondary ones are kept at a little bit of a lower end. Okay. The tertiary ones, they are uh, quite different from the secondary, but also very important as compared to the primary. So I'll tell you, tertiary ones are not used mostly by naive users. I mean, they are normally used also by a little bit of an expert users who know how to play around with the infotainment system, or also how to play around with uh, the hyper screen that is coming into the place, or also the navigation tool. I mean, like it's basically like you want to travel from your home to your office and you just feed in the values from start to destination, and the moment you start driving, there is a woman or like a Siri or any assistant voice rather I would say, who guides you. Take a left and take a detour. There is an accident that has been taken place. So these things. So now everyone who buys a vehicle, we have to make it sure that they can use the Navi, but according to age differences. Like if a person who is at an age of a 60 or 70 won't use the navigation system on a very daily basis. So because he knows around the city, he has been staying in the city for past many years, so he doesn't need a navigation system. So tertiary systems are useful for the new generations and also for like advancement or like smart work that we say. But they are not used by everyone. But they're also very important as compared to primary. But they're very stark opposite to the secondary. Moving on. Okay, so why interaction design is needed in the automotive industry? So on the left, as you can see, this is what I was talking about. There is a Mercedes car hyperscreen, and the UI system that you see is MBUX, also known as Mercedes-Benz's user experience. So they have replaced each and everything. Like if you look at the dashboard system where the meter of the speedometer has been introduced into the hyperscreen. On the right hand side, you can see the infotainment system. The music player is on, I guess. So that is like the tertiary system. On below of the music player, there are few controls. I guess they might be for the uh, ambience lighting or temperature control in the cabin and everything. So the primary, secondary, and tertiary, everything has been combined into a single hyper screen. So these are the things. So like what I showed you in the previous image, like touchscreen in the 80s, like basically consisted of like if you remember the Volkswagen concept, the Volkswagen wagon timeline. So they consisted of like a radios or like knobs and everything for balancing the air conditioning or radio for changing the music stations. And that was the only thing required while traveling, like listening to music and the air conditioning, and the people talked all around. So as technology became important, as data became more advanced, and more of the important thing that came into the picture is like population increased and people started buying new cars, and a lot amount of cars came into the picture. The safety concern rose for a very high level. And the moment safety came into the picture, it meant like how accident can be uh, reduced, how number of accidents taking place in Germany's autobahns. I doubt in autobahns accidents to take place, or also like in many highways in India or like abroad and anything, how accidents can be reduced. So how accident can be reduced, basically if you ask this question. So basically if you're driving alone or anything, you need someone to tell you, right? Like, okay, there will be an accident if you drive at this speed. The risky thing that you're doing is you're talking on the phone and you're driving, so don't do this. So this is someone needs to be a guidance. So how this guidance came into the picture is like there needs to be a sensor who will tell you, okay, you're driving at this high speed, you're going to dash the vehicle in front of you. So that's how interaction designers squeeze their way into the industry. And involvement of sensors and automotive systems, and also like smart systems, they squeezed into it with the help of specialized interior designers, as they said it. Okay, so interaction designers, they can team up with exactly like interior designers, as I said, also known as specialized interior designers, termed by the automotive industry, for the design process. And I mean, like the technology that is available, they can be made usable, and they can also. The main important thing about interaction designers is since they already work with UI screens of the smartphones and kiosks and laptops, they can help. Okay, like okay, so this is the Mercedes-Benz car user experience version 1. What will be the changes required in version 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3? Because we are very good at analysis, we are very good at analyzing the uh, results given to us by the user feedbacks, and we are very good at that. I mean, like understanding the cognitive thing, that the cognitive part can't be done by an interior designer, right? He or she isn't trained to understand the user psychologically. That thing can be done only by an interaction designer or a UI UX specialist or an HCI, a person from an HCI background or something like that. So That's where we came in. We came into the research part, and then we guided the interior designers. Okay, so this logo needs to be put here. Not logo actually. This signifier needs to be put here. The symbols should be put here. I mean, if you're driving and there's a call that is coming, so the icon of the call should be in green. And once you receive the call, the green should be replaced with the red receiver, so that the person understands that okay, I just have to disconnect the call because the call is already active. And while you're on the call, which is and you're driving, which is not allowed, which is not suggested, and your speed goes up, so your whole mbux, the dashboard itself, it turns into red, giving you a flash screen telling you to slow down or either disconnect the call. That's how it is. That's how it is. Moving on. So there is already one more thing that is going on. It is a balance between aesthetics and ergonomics. I'll tell you. I mean, I've written this data. I've researched and written this data, but I will tell you on a very what to say, a simple concept. Okay. Even if you read this thing like the popularity of the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, what's happening? So the hyperscreens that are designed by Mercedes or by Audi or BMW, and even I guess Mahindra XUV 700 came into the place. What's the biggest problem is Apple and Android. They're also coming up with their infotainment systems that we say Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So the reason is people all around the world are using iOS phones, iOS powered phones, or like Android powered phones. So in Android powered phones, since I am a very pure Android lover, I'm a stock Android person. So the moment I turn into someone else's phone, which uses MIUI or some Honor UI or like even Samsung UI, I find it very difficult to navigate around. Okay, so that is the biggest problem I believe, because everyone has their own design system, no criticism. Everyone has their own way of understanding things. Everyone has their own user base rather. The biggest problem is the automobile makers are trying to squeeze in their hyper screens with their own user base system. So the user base of a person who is already using a Google Pixel, a stock Android, if I'm using Google Pixel in my phone, in my smart TV, in my tab, and the moment I step into my Mercedes, and there is this different MBUX, there is this different signifier which shows location. There is a different signifier because I guess in Google Maps the location is of a symbol, the location wala symbol, and when you go into Mercedes Benz you have an arrow which shows location. So that is a basically different thing. I mean, like a person who is looking at the for thing for a first time can't understand. Okay, so this is the thing that happens for navigation. This is the thing. Okay, but in my phone I use a location, for location I use a different thing. So that is where like popularity of these hyper screens have been going down, because again, as I said, interaction designers give you detailed data and the detailed information of the research, and interior designers just try to do the cosmetic part of it. Okay, they need to make the design uniform to the other technologies that are already available in the market. And also I mean, like, design again on that domain also on a very micro level. Always said like design should be made ubiquitous, it should be made omnipresent and everything, like the I mean, like, it shouldn't be restricted to phones and kiosks and laptops and desktops and whatnot. Okay, but also, like, it shouldn't be like automobile makers are making their own hyper screens, own UI system, but the world the maximum amount of users using iOS, I mean, and Android and everything. They have a different sense of approaching the interfaces. So on that micro level also it should be made ubiquitous. And it's a very deep process. It's a very deep process, and that is why if you see, people prefer Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They connect it to that, so they literally don't prefer that. So there's always I mean, imbalance, okay, between aesthetics and ergonomics, because they always look into the look and feel and the plush luxury. I mean, it's an automobile, I know it, but as compared to a cell phone, but still, I mean, in the UI part, they need to be made ubiquitous. Moving on. Okay. So this is the something important. I mean, I've written it that way, which can't be missed, because recently in India itself, and I'm very proud to say, like in India, Mahindra XUV, I mean, like, crashed the barrier or like crossed the barrier. I mean, uh, they went ahead a mile and they integrated something into their automobile that is called Adreno X. It's one of the most beautiful thing that I've come across. I haven't used it, but I believe the interaction design is pretty top notch. Okay, so they have this same thing, like this, just the simple images I've kept into the picture, and I'll take you along. So integrated dual HD super screen, if you see. uh, so moving on, yeah. So it's as you see on the left hand side. So they have this beautiful image, or like an icon which shows an automobile, and the blue dots that you see, they're basically the speakers that are attached inside the automobile. Okay, so if you're playing at an theater mode, so which of the woofer system or anything they will get activated. If you're playing it in a stage mode, so which of the systems will get activated, all those things. So these are a few things. Okay, like if the driver wants to drive in a very peaceful manner, but the passengers want to enjoy in the back, so the driver will say, okay, I'll play the song for you, but I don't want to listen it on a very high level. So he or she can monitor it. Okay, the first two speakers in front of him, they have a low volume, and the four speakers in back of him, they have a high volume. That is the reason you will see the signifiers on this image. There are six dots on, I guess the image has to be zoomed, can't be helped, but okay. But the thing is, that is how it is. So the volume goes down, the blue icon it goes low. If the volume goes up, the blue icon goes up. Moving on. So yeah, this is one of the things that I liked, and I'm pretty odd with the technology that Mahindra came in. It's the driver drowsiness detection. So all of the time we integrate interaction designers were writing these blogs and talking and everything, that we need to find out a system where user falls asleep while he or she is driving. One of the most important thing that I've faced whenever I go out with road trips on my friend, a person who is driving the car. Uh, if anyone is sleeping inside the car, okay, he or she, uh, I guess it's an inductive effect that the driver also feels sleepy after looking at those fellow passengers who are sleeping in the car. So that is the reason whenever I travel with my friends, if I'm sitting beside the driver, he or she, he would say, like, do not sleep, because he will also feel sleepy. I guess that barrier. These are the few problem statements. Okay, we do these things. We don't even observe these things, but this is the beautiful thing that they have observed this problem statement, and they have come up with this thing. So if you look at this UI, the timing is at a 4:20 a.m. in the morning. Okay, the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. It's chilly out there. Your fuel level is going low, and your speed is at 128, and slowly it's showing a red thing which shows your speed is increasing. You're at a high gear, and your attention level is at a very low thing. Okay, and if you see, there's a progress bar called as low and high. So and the low gets in a red mode. Okay, so it automatically tells. I don't know, will there be a voice assisted system which says, take a break, you need to take a break because your speed is already going high, it's already late, or something like that, just a message, or just the driver will look at this. There will be some vibration on the screen or some anything like that, and the driver will take a break for a coffee or a tea or something, and then get freshen up or go and move on ahead with it. Like a similar example, if you would see, like if it was 8 a.m. in the morning, not 8 a.m., like 8 p.m. in the evening, or like 9 p.m. in the evening, the person is retired, is coming from work. So he is tired, but he's not sleepy. So at that time, I guess the driver attention level would have been in the medium wala thing. So not on the lower thing. This is one of the most beautiful thing that Mahindra has come up with their product. And this is the thing that, okay, so you can also map the most like the Mahindra uh, hyper screen on your cell phone. So if you look at the screen, okay, properly, I doubt I can zoom it. The image, okay, I can't. The image on the smartphone, it shows the icons are very similar to the icons and symbols that are present on the steering wheel. If you look at the steering wheel on the right, you will see a buttons. Okay, the buttons which are present on the steering wheel, they have a similar kind of icon. So that is how they are trying to bring the uniformity in inside everything. So you won't get confused. That is the only thing I guess automobile designers can do in the UI level, that whatever icons have been continued for the legacy system for a very amount of huge large amount of time, these things need to be, because if you see the power button is similar to the automobile start and stop button. Okay, if you look at the uh, lightning on and off, okay, the upper dipper thing that we do in the automobiles. So in the automobile, the upper dipper is like a D and some rays of light which shows upper and dipper. But on the case of Android mobiles and Apple mobiles and everything, if you want to on the flashlight, it shows torch. So these are the two different icons. So we also need to take care of these things when you're trying to bring a uniformity in the case of interaction design. Moving on. Okay, so the thing is, these are the references that have taken place. And any questions? I've tried to wrap those things in 40 minutes because, according to science and psychology, a person can only understand a whole session in 40 minutes. So I've taken a little 7 minutes extra. I hope it's fine. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Ujjayan. It was really informative, and we really got a notch up there in
Okay.
our information
Welcome.
about interaction designers in the automotive sector. I definitely got to learn a lot, and we had
Okay.
a really interactive audience the whole while. There are some really interesting comments, and we do have one two questions as well.
Okay.
Um, so Devesh asks that is interactive design used in hatchbacks as well? If yes, how? Sorry.
Okay. So, my friend has an automobile, hatchback, I guess. It's Tata Altroz. So one of the
Okay.
most beautiful thing about Tata Altroz Devesh is like, I observed this thing while I was traveling from Pune to Mumbai, and then I did a travel back from Mumbai to Pune. The moment you fuel in the Tata Altroz, right? The whole, I mean, there's a steering wheel and there is this speedometer. It's a digital speedometer, okay. So the whole speedometer goes into a blue. The whole speedometer colors goes into a blue screen. It becomes a blue screen. Okay. And the moment you start driving, your fuel goes low, your fuel goes low, your fuel goes low. The blue gets converted into black. So you can get to know, okay, like the fuel is gone down. So the when you look at the screen at that time, there's half black and half blue. So these are the few things. These are the few things. Even on the hatchback, I mean, Tata is doing a great job. I believe Tata is doing a great job. When Mahindra came up with this concept, I mean, the interaction design. These are the small changes. We don't need to go directly on a Mercedes level. Like, okay, hyperscreen. This will do things. This will do things. Because what will happen? I tell you, the moment you give people immediate blast of hyperscreen, right? They do not have a trained mentality or a trained behavior, so they will get very much confused to interact with this thing. They will get very much confused, and that is the reason why mass products, when introduced with a very new concept directly, it fails. It really fails. If you look at Tesla, Tesla is a pioneer in electric vehicles. I totally agree with it. I totally agree with it. But Tesla has gone through a lot of failures. And what other automobile designers have and other automobile makers have learned from it is that do not give electric vehicles directly, but give a hybrid vehicles initially. So like petrol and diesel with electrical, diesel electrical, petrol electrical. So you get accustomed to the electrical mode, and suddenly you take off the fuel off. So it's fully electric. So you're already trained with electric. So at that time, nothing will happen. So this is how we should also. So yeah, as talking about the interaction design in India on a hatchback level, as far as I know, Altroz has done a very great thing. So that is the thing. This is an example. Yeah.
Yes, and I think Madhavan in the audience also has some comments to give on Tata, as you said. And
Okay.
he says, I think Tata might bring great products.
Okay.
Tata
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Alexi is also working on automotive sector.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. 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 I mean, like I'm looking forward to Tata and everything because Last time the designer, I guess the designer of Tata, Pratap Bose, I guess, and now he's currently working with Mahindra. Yeah, it's they have come up with a great concept. I mean, the EVs of Nexon. I mean, everything has changed. I mean, they have changed the whole face of Tata, and it's very good. It's very good. It's a proud thing. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's about it for the comments and the
Okay.
questions. But
Okay.
I would like to, just just the last 2 minutes
Cool.
call for everyone who wants to ask any questions. Till then, I have some questions. One last question that we
Sure.
I would like to ask you. And today you talked about a sector that is not really focused upon. So,
Yeah.
how would you want to encourage the designers to actually go beyond the current set of sectors that they're focusing on and actually explore these really uh, other sectors that are also, promising sectors, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the main thing, and that was the main
Think
reason I
focus.
wanted to
Mm.
take up on this webinar that you guys came up with, because I wanted to sprout an idea in everyone's mind. Okay, the reason because if you look at even the today UI market and the UX market, okay, the job descriptions that go around. So I've seen that. I mean, they expect programming from designers. That's totally fine. They want a person to be very much of with a full-fledged level of. We are still battling on that domain. Okay, like
Yeah.
should UI designers code the UI developer thing, like JavaScripts and everything? Should they do that, or they should all I mean, like only focus on the UI part, the research part, the UX UI, the main thing. I mean, the main core design research. I mean, like the design and research document they should work on, not on the development document. So I just want to see this like things are going to take a turn in the future. Things are going to take a turn in the future, as in the past few years interaction designers weren't allowed. I'm not allowed is not the correct word, but like they didn't get a chance to work in the automobile domain, but in abroad nowadays in Europe and US, I guess they are working right away. But if you look at, I don't know, I can't confidently say, I don't know who is designing the user interface or of the Tata, or who is designing the user interaction of the Mahindra. But yeah, if those things, if these small interactions, like I said, the fuel level of the dashboard goes up and down, it is coming into place, right? So interaction designers are out there in the world. We just have to, I mean, like on a very different level of a domain as well. So we just have to search and search and search, and we will get there eventually. So that is the thing. I mean, like one thing I just want to tell everyone for sure, like even if you are into UI designing of phones, not phones, like application UI designing or website designing or everything, do not think like, okay, my life is only uh, app designing or like web designing or kiosk designing or something like that. Always think designing as solving products for people, solving problems for the people, so that it can be used in the future flawlessly, and the pain points have been reduced and all those things. Always take design, any type of interaction design, in a very beautiful. I'll tell you one problem that I faced. I mean, like few months back, I bought this
Mm.
Logitech webcam that I'm using right now. They do not come up with a manual. So I mean, like a person, any person who doesn't have a technical knowledge, and he wants to use this webcam. So there is no button on the webcam, there is no interaction on the webcam. It's a very powerful webcam, I can see this thing. But there is no manual, there is no button. You have to go to the Google, you have to go to YouTube. And I went through ton of YouTube videos, how to set up Logitech camera, how to set up Logitech camera. So these are the few things. These are the few things that can be uh, change. I mean, even if there is a label or a sticker on the webcam itself, which is a removable sticker, I mean, like go to www.logic.com, download the drivers, and that's it. That is the only thing that you need. A person wouldn't spend 30 minutes of his life in searching. So
Mm.
these are the few things. These are the very few things. If you observe properly, that if you will observe that interaction design is not just restricted to something. Uh, I mean, like I know, I've gone through many Adobe Behance portfolios, beautiful portfolios, I might say, beautiful portfolios, and they work on very core systems, and that is the thing that I like about when they work on core problems. I mean, which are faced in railways or food ordering app or something like that. But that is one of the thing. But always don't restrict yourself to app designing or website designing or something like that. You can come up with a waste management system. You can come up with fighting COVID, or not fighting COVID exactly, like how precautionary measures can be taken place. These are the few things with products and things that can be done. As I spoke about the smart door system, okay, just welcoming you. So that is also an idea that I just gave that can be implemented. This is a small thing. I mean, people might say this is not necessary. It's a luxury
Hmm.
item. But if you look at the output, I mean, like you're going into a meeting and someone says, "Welcome, you're 5 minutes early," something like that, and you feel good that you're in a meeting in a meeting room and it welcomed you. So it's kind of a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed up and, uh, pointed out everything that I think is needed. And I loved your point where you pointed out that we should look beyond look beyond applications and design pages and actually focus on the problems that those things are solving. And if we focus on the problems, then we'll be able to solve any kind of problem, be it in a product form,
yeah,
be it in an app form, be it in a web page form,
exactly.
be it in. So that was a really good point, and I think
Yeah,
yes, thank you so
yeah,
much for
much
that.
appreciated. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So I think there are no more questions, and I think as audience is still taking up the new things that you've said about
okay.
sector. But guys, do make sure to join our Discord community, and we love to take any discussions on this topic there itself. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here with
Yeah,
us
thanks a
today.
lot, guys. Thanks a lot,
It
guys. Yeah.
was really a very interesting and insightful session, at least for me. And
Okay.
I know that the audience enjoyed too. They were
Yeah,
interacting
I
with
hope.
those
I hope.
topics.
My main thing was to inspire the audience, like to go beyond what
Hmm.
I know. I mean, like the job market in India, it's very good. Rather, it's very promising. It's very on the salary wise, on the career wise, and everything. It's very good. It's very good. But just don't get streamlined and typecasted
Hmm.
on a single thing.
Right.
Yeah, because design is ubiquitous. That's the only thing that I'll say. And I mean, if you guys look at few of my references, the main thing I always give credit to is a guy named Casper Kessels. I mean, he currently works at Aircall, I guess, but he used to work at Renault for their steering wheel. And so this is one of the most beautiful things. So we can work on that level as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
Anyone who would like to connect with Jan can use the link that we have
Yeah.
put in the description below.
Okay.
He'll be happy to help you out. Thank you so
Okay.
much for being an engaging audience with us and for staying with us till the last. See
Yeah.
you guys in the next session. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Jan.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.